So I'm Glenn of Hair by Glenn. I'm here with Stachen Frederick of BrAIDS For AIDS, and we'll be discussing what her organization is about and what she has coming up for the future projects. And so I understand that BrAIDS For AIDS launched in 2008.
Absolutely, yes, 2008.
So can you tell us a little bit about that and how that all began?
Right. So I was living in Ottawa at that point in time, and I was working with an organization. I was an HIV/AIDS prevention coordinator for the African, Caribbean, and Black community in Ottawa. The organization itself was a great organization. However, the management in which I was particularly under was quite oppressive in their managerial style, particularly in regards to me bringing concerns from the community in regards to how they wanted HIV/AIDS prevention done within the African and Caribbean community. And historically, when it looks at HIV/AIDS prevention here in Canada and internationally, it's very sort of white oppressive ideologies being implemented in various countries, but we're seeing those same sort of principles being impacting the community here in Canada. So in me going to the organization and speaking about some of these issues, it wasn't being received. So one, there was oppression towards myself, but oppression of the voices of my community. So I knew at somewhere, I didn't know how exactly, how I was going to get to do what I needed to do in terms of, getting the voices out and getting the funds for my community. But I'm a person of faith and whatnot, and one day I was sitting down and I was about to get my hair braided.
Yes.
And then I saw the word AIDS pop out of the word braids.
Yes.
And so, looking at that piece around being culturally appropriate, culturally relevant, hair braiding is something that is within the African, Caribbean, and Black community and very, very specific to us. Yes, other communities have sort of adopted it, but it's something that's rooted in our culture.
Yeah,
and so, that was that kind of eureka moment. And so that led for me creating these packages of red, white, and black beads, selling it and raising funds, even donated back to that same oppressive organization, but being very specific on where I wanted my money going, because now I'm a donor. So not just being a staff, but now I'm a donor and saying, okay, this is where I want my money going to and how I wanted my money to be, shed to the community. So that's what originally started it.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so I'm just curious, how did that organization feel once you sort of went out on your own and then you were now a donor?
Right.
How was that?
So I think there was, again, the organization itself was a great organization, right? So I had a lot of support of, some of the other senior managers of that organization, but not my specific manager, and whatnot. So I think it was a really slap in the face of how that change, and there were some other pieces that came out of that this oppression, because I wasn't the first person oppressed, nor was I the last person being oppressed. So after I left that organization, some of the very similar concerns that I had, somebody else shared, but that person had a little bit more power than I had in terms of the HIV/AIDS movement, that when they experience their oppression, and we talk about in the social work lived experiences, and how lived experiences, we need to come together collectively. So that person reached out to me. I shared my story as well, and so that combined effort helped to, and I won't necessarily say fire those people, but it helped to lead to change that had to happen, and the change resulted in, I guess, these people not necessarily fitting within that organizational
sometimes
culture.
It's not a good fit. So.
Exactly, right? Which is fine, and it's not like if we wish that, because some people may have that, oh well, you want somebody to do their job or something, but that might be, but for us it's just we wanted change, right? And if change resulted in people coming on to move on to other walks of life, then greater, but it's a definitely wishing of well. So,
well, the focus is on the work, right?
Absolutely.
So when you're doing that, the right people always come together.
Absolutely. Absolutely, absolutely. But all's well that ends well, and it's good. And I always get positive feedback from some of the other senior managers who were there, who after I left Ottawa still email me, still Facebook me, just say we love your passion, we love your energy. So it feels good that that there was that support.
Yes.
So yeah.
And so I know that you mentioned like the black, red, and white.
Yes.
And I also know that you have a Trinidadian background, and I was like, is that a coincidence or
Right. No, yes, it's a coincidence. It wasn't actually planned. I always have to preview that when I'm talking about Trini. Like, it's not because I'm Trini and not you hearing the Trini accent that's their tick. But the red, white, and black colors of the organization has meaning, right? And so red, of course, stands for HIV, the blood, which is usually the symbol for HIV, AIDS awareness. Black, because it's the African, Caribbean, and Black community which we're working with. And white is that we would work with our allies, our Caucasians, all these people coming together into that fabric and whatnot. But of course, it starts with us Black first, in terms of us taking the lead on what is happening within our community. So usually when I talk about the colors, I say red, black, and white, not red, white, and black. Because in Trinidad, when we talk about our national colors, we say red, white, and black. But for BrAIDS For AIDS, I talk about red, black, and white, because it's black going forward. So we're leading, but we're engaging everybody as part of the fight against HIV.
And so I also know that you support other organizations.
Right, yes.
Do you want to speak to those? I think there's one maybe in Trinidad.
Yeah, so I've donated money to the YMCA of Trinidad and Tobago because they have a very engaging HIV, AIDS, and sexual health education. So I've donated towards them, and I was fortunate to even be at the forum, which I have donated money to. We've donated to charities here in Canada, like the organization that I spoke about, but also even Black Cap, which is the Black Coalition for AIDS Prevention, and they're located in Toronto, and I donated specifically to the LGBTQ Black Immigrant Group project that they have there to support the youths, because when youths face issues of one, there's ageism, right?
Yes.
You have also the issue of racism, and then you have the issue of sexism, well, when you look at sexual orientation, right? And so the LGBTQ community, our Black youths are really experiencing that sort of intersectionality of oppression, all these different oppressions impacting them. And so I just wanted to provide funds to support their development in issues of like basic needs and whatnot.
And so can you tell us about future projects that are coming up for BrAIDS For AIDS?
Sure. So just so people kind of realize, there's BrAIDS For AIDS Foundation and there's BrAIDS For AIDS Inc. Okay. So BrAIDS For AIDS Inc. is the hairline, which I'm just going to show people.
Yeah, of course.
The hairline. And part of the proceeds of the hairline goes into the foundation and allows us to either give to different charities or actually do some work in the community here. So during the summer, we had a lot of different projects in the community, doing trainings for youth outreach workers in Northwest Toronto on engaging youth in sexual health education. We actually had a BrAIDathon where we actually are right now, and so the BrAIDathon was again to raise funds for our programs. In the fall, we're launching a new program which is actually going into the youth detention center, which would be a youth prison. We try to be a little bit more sort of cover it up, but it is what it is. So and what we see is a lot of young Black males within our prison system, in the justice system, and so wanting to reach some of those hard to reach at-risk youths in terms of sexual health conversations. But then we're also doing some cane rowing with the the youths in the center. So that's one of the really cool developments with Braids for AIDS. That's the foundation with the ink, which is the hairline, of course, looking out for some new sort of colors as well as colors. We like colors, you
Yes.
know, we black people, we love colors.
Very true, very
But
true.
you know, one of the good things is that, you know, like I said early on, is that a lot of braiding and all that started within the African, Caribbean, and Black community. And you know, when you look at the Caribbean, you have Indians, you have Caucasians, you have Asians and whatnot. So of course, you know, I made that joke like black people love color, but you know, it's about individuality and personal style and what people feel that they want to rock in their hair. So we're really reaching out and reaching as much people that we can through our brand and whatnot.
Nice. And just from a stylist perspective, I have to say that the quality is quite good. I'm just going to take a little bit of hair out to show you. Hopefully you can get a sense of this. But it feels really smooth, and for other stylists out there, people who do their own hair at home, this hair is not going to give you hangnails or cut up your fingers as much as like other synthetic hair.
Absolutely.
So 2 thumbs up.
Yes,
for this hair.
We got Glenna's seal of approval, so it's great.
And so, can you tell us where we can find the hair, like what retail locations you're located in?
Absolutely. So we have at Afro Beauty Supply Store at Sheridan Mall. Again, we have it at Ascend here, which is actually 2350 Finch Avenue West. It's a youth entrepreneurship store. So all the products in this location are owned by young people in West Toronto. So definitely come to this place to get the hair, but you could see the amazing products of other youths. We have in Mississauga at Fabulous and Natural. We have in Brampton, which is Queen's Beauty Supply Store. We have on Eglinton, which is at Elegant Style. That's actually a hair salon, but we also have a store which is TK Beauty Supply, and we're moving into Scarborough shortly. So yeah, a lot of places. And of course, you could also order online as an option.
And speaking of online, where can you reach? Through social media?
Absolutely. So everything is Braids for AIDS. So www.braids4aids, info at Braids for AIDS, Facebook Braids for AIDS, Instagram Braids for AIDS, Twitter.
That's good.
Braids for AIDS, and so it's Braids for AIDS. Check us out.
Nice. And so we're just going to show a quick clip of all the items that are in the shop right now.
Yes. Yes, please support youths in the community. We want to keep as much as possible positive in our community, and this is a space that provided an opportunity for young people. So please come out and support.
Yes. And I will make sure to provide all of the retail spots in the description box below so that you know where to get the hair that you need to do the do that you want to have. And thank you so very much for this interview.
Thank you so much. This was great.
To see you again.
Yes.
And
Bye.
we'll keep up with you.